All right, welcome everybody. Good to have you guys here in our facility at the team room. Another exciting signing day, a signing day for those of us that have been in the business for a little bit, unlike any other. One where we haven't been in homes, and obviously one that obviously snuck up on us here pretty quickly. And it's been a unique stretch, I think, for all of us in college football, and I'm proud of the way that our program has handled this. I'm proud of our staff. You know, so much goes into signing these guys. There's years and years of work, you know, travel, relationship building. Obviously, so much going on in the world right now, and I think our staff really did a tremendous job. You know, excited about how the morning played out. I think it was pretty much expected for us. Kind of after the last couple of days, we had really, you know, kind of two battles here at the end, or two kind of ones that we knew were going to go down the wire, and one certainly went in our favor and one didn't, and that's a little bit the nature of this right now. But we feel like we did a great job addressing some of the biggest needs that we felt like were going to be important to our football team going forward. Certainly the lines of scrimmage, the defensive line, the offensive line, as you can tell with what we've signed up to this point, were huge. Were very, very important. We were able to get the numbers, the body types, the sizes, and you know, I know I've been asked a lot throughout the last year about, you know, how are we adapting and changing our roster? And one of the big things has been the added size, added weight. And as we've talked about, there's part of that which is developing the guys in-house. Then the other part is obviously recruiting those body types. And you see what we brought in here today, and there's certainly a real effort to do that. You know, defensive back was obviously a high priority in this, with what we're obviously getting ready to lose with having, you know, 7 seniors and going to lose bare minimum 7. And so that was a very, very important part of this, and getting some different skill sets. We really tried to look at guys in the defensive backfield that we felt like had position flexibility, and guys that we felt like had the opportunity to come in here and compete early, because we're going to need a little bit of that in that room, no question about it. Also, we're able to get some impact guys at receiver, you know, at running back. Obviously, really excited about the quarterback that we signed. So it's really been a great class. You know, this is just kind of the beginning of a stretch where your roster is going to really start to reveal itself in terms of next year. You know, over the next several weeks, there's a lot going on right now, as you can imagine. Conversations with everybody on our current roster that has eligibility to return. Obviously, the transfer portal opens up here pretty quickly, and there's going to be some positions that we're certainly going to be aggressive with that we need to go make some moves on. And I think, you know, today gives you a little bit more clarity on that. And so, but you know, I'm excited about this group. A lot of hard work went into this group. Especially excited. You know, excited about all parts, but especially defensively. You know, when you have the major changes that we did, you know, less than 12 months ago, and to be able to go in here and sign, you know, this defensive class that we did here today, that's not easy when, you know, a lot of these guys haven't had the normal runway of time to build the relationships with the type of prospects we recruit at USC. And so to have this group here less than 12 months later that they're now Trojans is a great feeling, and obviously can't wait to get these guys here and get started.
If you guys have a question, you raise your hand and bring you a mic.
Hey, Lincoln. With news that Matt Entz is going to be the head coach at Fresno State,
Yep.
How did that complicate things maybe in the last 24 hours before today?
Yeah, it didn't get finalized, you know, until here this morning. You know, it was one of those situations that came together pretty quickly, and so I don't know that it's fair to say that it did or didn't complicate things. I mean, that's in this world, it's just kind of part of it, you know. And when you have a really good staff, you got really quality people on your staff, you're going to have guys that get opportunities and move on. And I think, you know, we're happy for Coach Entz first. That's these, you know, college football head coaching jobs are really, really hard to get. And I think it's always a sign of a healthy program when programs are wanting to come in and hire your people, particularly in head coaching roles. And so he did a great job for us. You know, he made us better. Made me better. It was a great hire and a big part of, the statistically one of the most, if not the most improved defense in the country. So, wish he and Brenda the best. They've been great Trojans, and excited for their next opportunity. I don't know that I can sit here and say we did or didn't get somebody because of that today. I don't know that it was that impactful in terms of anything that played out today. But I think, part of our goal is to have a program, an offense, a defense that goes beyond any one coach. That people know that what they're getting into here in terms of our culture, our systems that we have in place, and that they're going to remain steadfast and never be tied directly to one person. And so, wish him the best. And again, I think it's a compliment to our program and to those hires that we made 12 months ago at this time.
We've talked a lot about the need for more production in the pass rush. Given that, how critical was it to win that Jakeem Stewart recruiting battle and see you got UC coming in and making an impact pretty quickly?
It was important. Jakeem was somebody that we targeted, very early on. The tough thing was so did everybody else. But he's a neat young man. I mean, we got to spend a lot of time with him. He was able to come out to LA, several times throughout the process, and you just, everybody sees the physical ability, the length. I mean, he has a very unique combination physically, but I do think, Jakeem's mentality, the way he attacks it, his confidence, he has a real gritty, tough, hardworking mentality, and I think, that is really, what makes him such an outstanding prospect and made him a dominant high school player. And so, yeah, I mean, you look at guys and you're like, all right, do they have the mental makeup and do they have the physical? Are they far enough developed physically to feel like that they could come in and make an impact? And I mean, he certainly has that. Now, like every other player on our roster, he's going to have to come in and earn it. But that's, knowing Jakeem, I mean, that's what he wants anyway. And so, no, it was important. He's one of the more talented defensive linemen that I've had a chance to be involved with recruiting. And this is one of those things where everything about this just fit, and we're really glad he's a Trojan.
Hey, Coach. I'm kind of continuing on to Jakeem. He only played 12 varsity games. I'm wondering, from your perspective, when you scout and your scouting department as a whole, how do you kind of evaluate kind of the talent you see on the field, but then also looking at just the game experience they have in high school?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I felt like I felt like when we watched him in high school that he was advanced enough that he could have made an impact on a college field, even as a high school age player. I mean, you watch the way that this guy plays the game, it's pretty impressive. And when you really look at, his entire scenario, and why, he didn't play here at the end. He obviously, was made the decision that he felt like it was best to reclassify, which, there's a lot of people that I don't think would be ready physically or mentally to do that, but he is one of them, and so I can understand why he did. And then obviously got caught up a little bit within the rules of the state because of that. But he's a driven kid. He's very confident. He's very, very hyper-focused, and everything that we know about him and everything that we've been able to see when we had a chance to evaluate him in person, we had zero hesitation, to target him and have zero hesitation or questions about, what he brings to the table here. So, I like that the kid knew what he wanted and had enough confidence and belief in himself to go get it, and that he's kind of got that type of mentality, which I think is going to serve him well in the future.
Coach, you've been linked to a couple other jobs recently. Just when people approach you about that, what's your response been?
I tell them I'm a USC Trojan, man. I'm at the place I want to be. So it's a non-starter. It's a non-issue. I'm home.
Lincoln, obviously Hassan's coming into the quarterback room, but after losing Jake and Miller, is hitting the transfer portal for another quarterback a necessity for you guys this offseason?
It is. We will look for another quarterback in the portal. I think, we're really going to be, probably looking at somebody to be able to come in and provide some depth in that room. Being that, as you said, we just have 2 guys right now, which I think earlier in my career I would have been, probably freaking out a little bit. Now it's just kind of a yearly occurrence. So, excited about the 2 guys we got returning. I'm really excited about the way Jaden played for us here in the last 3, particularly the way he played, a couple of days ago. Yeah, really excited to bring, Hassan into our program. That was just something that, as that whole scenario played out, it became very clear to us that we wanted him to be the quarterback in this program for a lot of different reasons. Specifically, his mental makeup and his commitment to the team and commitment to want to be great. And so I can't wait to add him into the room. And yeah, we'll certainly, in some form or fashion, need to find a 3rd guy. And we'll, Coach Heward, the rest of our staff, we'll be diving into that heavily and find somebody to help come fill out the room.
Lincoln, on Hassan, it was just kind of a strange, turbulent year for quarterback, recruiting, and you obviously have a pattern of, only pursuing one quarterback at a time. How were you guys able to make Hassan feel like a priority throughout the whole process and ultimately, make him feel like he was the one you guys wanted?
Yeah, I give Coach Heward a lot of credit. I think Luke did a really great job, continuing to maintain a great relationship with Hassan and his family. Even at that point when we had another player committed at the position, and I think as that relationship began to grow, you're always constantly evaluating these guys, just like they're constantly evaluating schools, but that goes both ways. And I think, this was really about Hassan, and the more we got to know him, got to evaluate him, the more we got to see, again, just his mental makeup, how team-oriented he was, how serious he was about the game. We just felt like, in the end, that there wasn't a better fit for us, and that's eventually, why we made the decisions that we made. And so I'm really excited to have him. I think obviously all these players are so important, but the quarterback in terms of fitting within the program and what you're trying to build is obviously an important piece, and I feel like we landed on the perfect guy for us.
Coach, what did you see from Eric Henderson just over the course of the cycle, and then specifically kind of his chase of Jakeem? Yeah,
he does a great job. I mean, Coach Henney's such a passionate guy. You feel the passion in the way he coaches, feel the passion in the way he recruits, and then when you add in his track record and pedigree and proven track record of development behind that, it's he did a great job. He obviously had some great connections to Jakeem, from being from the same general area. Those guys really hit it off early on, and I think we had recruited Jakeem even before that happened. But I think having Eric here and our defensive staff, I think, was certainly a huge part of our pursuit of Jakeem and how it ultimately turned out here today. So great players want to be coached by the best. I mean, they do. They're great ones, and that gets confused because a lot of people say that they want to be great, and not everybody wants to make choices that actually take you to being great. But great players want to be coached by the best at the end of the day. And you put this guy's track record up there, that's a tough thing to say no to. And so he did a great job, as did a lot of our staff. I mean, thing with Jakeem and a lot of these recruits today, it's sometimes one guy gets a credit, a coach or a head coach or whoever. It is really a group effort. I mean, the amount of relationships that are built within so many different levels of this staff it's cool. And you could see today as guys were signing, phones are getting passed around, and I mean, people are talking to 20 different people on our staff, and it's pretty cool to see how strong that those bonds have already become.
Things have started to come into focus a little bit. How do you feel just confidence-wise in Jaden kind of heading into next season, slotted in at that starter spot, and maybe how quickly could you see Hassan having an impact or being able to contribute?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of confidence in Jaden. I mean, he played well, led us to 2 big victories, and then I thought, really put us in great position. I mean, that was, statistically the #1 passing defense in the country the other day that he did a pretty good job against. And so I think he's going to continue to progress and get better and better. And we obviously have a ton of confidence in both he and Hassan, and what that room has a chance to become. And, we're going to put a lot of emphasis, put a lot of reps, put a lot of time into those 2 guys. And on top of their skill sets, I just love the way that those 2 guys are wired. We obviously have to get somebody else at some point in some role to fill out a room and make sure we're doing right by the team. But, you told me next year that we're going in with those 2 guys. I feel like we will. I'm very, very excited about it. Hassan's got a great skill set. He can really throw the ball. He's very athletic. He's got a great mind for it. Like every young guy that comes in here, he's going to have to come learn it, come invest himself in the details. But knowing how much of a football junkie he is, he's craving that. And so I think he'll pick it up quickly. And we're hopeful. Hopeful to obviously get him here and get him started. Quickly, even potentially. Here with some of the bowl practices, if that times out once we get the bowl announcement. But we're going to be aggressive with these guys to try to get them ready as fast as we possibly can.
Two-part over here. Are you still in the mix to sign anyone from the high school ranks? And out of this class who you have signed, is there anyone you expect, or who are the guys you think could play early potentially?
No, right now I think as I stand here today, unless I'm misspoken, I don't think we're missing anybody that we're still actively recruiting. So I think we've gotten. I think we're done here for the day from a high school standpoint. There's always some potential outliers out there, so I don't ever want that to be 100% final. But that's where we sit today. It's a great question. I'm kind of looking on here of like maybe who I don't think would have a chance, to be completely honest. I mean, I think you can, I look at Hassan, I look at the 2 backs, Harry and Riley. I mean, certainly all 3 of the receivers I think are very gifted. O-line is historically one of the tougher ones to do it, but I think we signed some really outstanding guys. I mean, Dunn was a big win. We thought he was, one of, if not the most athletic tackle that we saw on the entire circuit, so he was a big win. Obviously getting Payne here at the end was big. Vicona and Willie jumped on there quickly and was, were really steady guys for us. Elijah is massive. Willie has a great mind for it. Getting Nella, here in the last, week to 10 days, from a great program up there in Folsom. He was a guy we were super impressed with how he had progressed. I think if you kind of look at us, our usage of the tight end and the tight end sets, really increased as high this year as we've been at any point. And we've really put a concerted effort to building up that room. And I think Nella has a great chance to be a part of it. Certainly the DBs, I mean, you look at them with what we're losing, I mean, they're all going to have a great opportunity where we'll see who's obviously ready to go. But the position flexibility of these guys is really important. So, yeah, I mean, obviously they're not all going to, but there's not a lot of guys that I look on this list right now and say, all right, they got a really small chance to help us next year. I mean, there's a lot of potential high-impact guys early on in their career on this list, which is a good feeling.
Two-parter. Last year you gave us Desmond Stevens as a guy who was kind of under the radar, you thought. Is there a guy in this class that fits that
That was
bill?
a pretty good prediction.
It was,
yeah.
it was. And then do you expect any other staff changes aside from Entz?
No other expected staff changes right now. Now I know there's, this is the time of year when those things happen, and as I said, we got a really good staff, and so people are going to want to are going to be interested in our guys, which is a sign of a healthy program, but nothing that I would call imminent right now by any stretch. It's hard to nail down one, but I mean, there's a couple of guys in the class, that I think, maybe people don't quite know their names, but I think they probably will soon. I mean, D. Reddick was one of my favorite players in the whole class. Like the way this guy plays the game is, some guys just look different. I would put James Johnson, I'd put JJ in that camp too. Got to see both those guys play live, and it's that term just football players, guys that look like it's very natural. The game's very easy for them. They did a lot for their respective high school teams. Those are two guys that I think are two of the more like versatile, kind of dynamic players that we signed. But there's a lot of them on this list that I'm pretty excited about. But I would list those guys. Castro had a phenomenal senior year here. Alex Graham just won the state championship at Cass Tech. That's another guy that had a great senior year. That DB class as a whole, Steve Miller, and that DB class as a whole is pretty exciting, and we need them to be, right? They're walking into a great opportunity, and I think that was certainly something that was on the minds of these guys when they looked at us as they saw the opportunity here to come in and compete right away. Yeah, all right. Thanks, everybody.